We were off yesterday, so we figured Jeff would pop on today. He usually does the Monday hit with us at 5:25 to talk some NFL. Right now, though, the significance of June 1 and what it means for the Eagles and other teams around the NFL, as NFL writer Jeff Kerr from CBS Sports joins me right now on the Boardwalk Honda hotline as the day is here, June 1. So that means we could have some significant movement now in the NFL, Jeff, because teams have cleared out some more cap space, some contracts are gone, and that means the Eagles could get back in play on shaping up this offseason roster. So what is the significance of June 1 in the NFL?
So, Mike, pretty much I'm going to make this as simple as I can. So a lot of the prorated signing bonuses you see in contracts, you can push that to next season after to that. So that's pretty much what it is. So it won't count again. Everything won't count against the cap this year. It will count some toward this year's cap, and you can push some of it toward next year's cap. If you do this before June 1st, it all counts toward the 2021 cap. So the Eagles can theoretically push some signing bonuses around in next year if they restructure contracts. That's what you saw the Buffalo Bills do with Stephon Diggs today.
Yeah, and I know people saw the Buffalo Bills do that and said, is there any connection to a Zach Ertz possibility there? So, Zach Ertz, what does June 1 mean for Zach Ertz' status?
Well, I think for Zach Ertz, the market's going to heat up. I wrote about this today it was kind of a mix of a Sportsline piece because they put out odds of where Zach Ertz would go, and the Bills were the favorites at plus 200, which is pretty good considering the Stephon Diggs significance here. But pretty much his market is going to heat up now. And the reason for that is just because of the June 1st deadline. Now the Eagles, it's going to help the Eagles because they'll save $8.5 million of cap space, and a team that takes on Zach Ertz's contract, they can he's only got 1 year left, but he's got some voided years. So what they can do is they can maneuver a little bit. There'll be more cap space around to absorb Zach Ertz's $12 million salary.
Right. So a team taking on Ertz, they can change some things around, as a team like Buffalo has already tried to do. They've tried to change some things around to be able to take on a contract. Maybe not Ertz's contract, but it seems that the Bills are looking to add some talent, which a lot of teams can now start to do because we're going to start to see some more veterans now, I would imagine, that have been sitting out there waiting for this June 1st date so that they can get more money when they sign, right? A guy like Steve Nelson says, I'm not signing before June 1st because you can't fit me under. Now teams can bring a veteran like a Richard Sherman or a Steve Nelson, that level of player in.
Yeah, exactly. And Steve Nelson played this exactly right. Look, he could have signed when he got released, and I think he was going to, and then I think teams said, well, we'll wait to see what the draft unfolds. Well, the draft unfolded, and he could have signed whenever he wanted to, but he's absolutely right. Get as much money as you can, especially when you just got released and you're a 27, 28-year-old cornerback, and you know teams need a starting cornerback like the Philadelphia Eagles. So you can tell he's interested in them. He's interested in the Miami Dolphins. Again, there are going to be teams that are going to beg for his services coming in these next couple days and weeks. And, Steve Nelson might play this out till training camp, honestly, because, does he really need to be at OTAs? No, he probably just needs to learn the playbook at this point. So, right now it's beneficial for him to just sit and wait this thing out.
Yeah, I know. So let's get to Ertz here. All right. You mentioned the teams that are in play. There was a report earlier today that suggested the Eagles have had talks, but they're not going to just give him away. So read the tea leaves on that.
I kept hearing the 3rd and 4th round pick. That's what the Eagles want. They not both, obviously. They'll go for a 3rd, they'll go for a 4th, but they're not just going to give this guy away, and they really don't want to cut him. Zach Ertz probably wishes he was cut, but the Eagles view him as a valuable commodity, and look, they can afford to pay his salary. That's not an issue. We keep hearing that they're interested in Julio Jones. I guess they are. Everybody should be interested in Julio Jones. It's not a big deal. But you can pay for Zach Ertz and Dallas Goedert this year, and Zach Ertz makes your football team better. They're not just going to give this guy away. Like the Arizona Cardinals, we'll use them for example. If they want him, they're going to have to give up some high draft capital because Eagles know they need a tight end. Max Williams just isn't going to cut it. The Buffalo Bills, I'm sure they could afford to get rid of a 4th round pick if they want, but the Eagles are probably saying to themselves, you know what, maybe we can get a 3rd for this guy. Let's just go see what happens here with the highest bidder. But I think they told Zach Ertz, or they're trying to mend fences with him. I just don't know if Ertz wants to do that anymore.
Well, okay, so what in your mind is the percentage chance that they just say, we didn't get a good enough offer, we're just going to keep him?
I'll go with 45% right now.
Is that up from where you thought before?
Yeah, absolutely. Oh, yeah. I had it about 25-30% before. I was going to go 50, but I still think at the end of the day, Zach Ertz is not going to be in Philadelphia. I think that ship has sailed. But again, it's the longer this thing drags out, the better chance the Eagles have of keeping him. I mean, I just don't see Zach Ertz missing mandatory minicamp next week and paying that money. I just don't see him doing it.
So that's interesting because I figured that he would hold to his guns and miss the mandatory here. So you think he'll be there?
He just reminds me of a player that he's just going to show up. That's just the way he is. I mean, you could show up and, just to show up. I mean, you don't have to talk to anybody. Just say, I'm just here so I won't get fined. I mean, I would do it. Like for example, like if someone told you had to go on 97.3 on the weekends, and if you didn't, you got fined, you would do it, right?
That's debatable.
All right. That's what the fine is, right?
Exactly. What's the fine? No, I mean, no. So, all right. Who are some of the teams that now would, because there's been some talk, okay, multiple teams have called. There is interest there. They just don't want to pay the price. Who are some of the teams?
The Colts, for example, because of Carson Wentz. Even though the Colts have Mo Alley-Cox and Jack Doyle, I still think Zach Ertz is a major upgrade for them because Mo Alley-Cox, he's often injured, and Jack Doyle, he's not a starting tight end. He's the number 2 tight end. So Zach Ertz makes them better. I think the Los Angeles Chargers would be interested. I actually think the Los Angeles Rams would be interested. I just don't know how they're going to do that with their salary cap issues and stuff. And they did pay Tyler Higbee, but again, I'm sure they would like him because they're all in. The Arizona Cardinals, I think, would be interested. The Seattle Seahawks, basically any team in the NFC West should be interested in Zach Ertz. I mean, I'm sure the 49ers would even kick the tires on. I don't think they're going to be a suitor, but maybe the Miami Dolphins. Again, they have Mike Gesicki, but they could use another weapon for Tua there. It's going to be very interesting for sure. But if I had to place my money on right now, my guess would probably be either the Colts, the Seahawks, Cardinals, Chargers, and the Bills, because obviously the Bills are going to be the favorite now. They cleared up some cap space.
Okay. It was reported, a couple places confirmed that the Eagles have called on Julio Jones. Would you give up a first-round pick for Julio Jones?
I keep looking at it this way, Mike, and I know they didn't give up a first-round pick for T.O., but T.O. was around the same age Julio Jones was, and they traded for him. You saw the impact he made on that team, on that offense. Like, the Eagles didn't go to the Super Bowl because of T.O., but they were 13-1 with him, and they almost beat the New England Patriots with him on a broken leg. You saw how good T.O. was in his 20 games in an Eagles uniform. That's what I'm looking at Julio Jones. This guy is not washed up in the least. He's still a top 5 wide receiver in this game. I'm tired of hearing he's 32. You know what? I don't want to hear it. He's still got 6-7 years of football, of good football left to be played. I don't want to hear that. Like, if you can get someone to make this team better, you do that. You at least call and see what you could get for him. Personally, I would try to trade that conditional first-round pick, that Carson Wentz pick, to see if Atlanta would budge. But again, unless you're desperate, I don't see teams giving up a first-round pick. I would, but the Eagles also have 3 to get rid of.
They do, and that's why, it's interesting because what's the message? If you pull the trigger on a first-round pick for Julio Jones, is that saying, hey, we're going for this?
Yeah, I think so. I think the Eagles are looking at it as, look, we can win the NFC East. This division winner was 7-9 last year. We got a team in the NFC East that literally thinks that they're good, and they were 6-10. Like, we can be 6-10. We can compete for this division title. I think 9-10 wins the NFC East. You get Julio Jones, I think that's an extra win or 2 there.
You think the division's that down again this year?
I think they're better, but I think 10 wins ultimately is going to be the benchmark. Whoever gets to 10 first is going to win it, and it's probably going to be Washington. I mean, it's either them or Dallas. I think they're the only 2 teams that can win 10 games. I just don't think the Giants are that great because they don't have a great offensive line, and Daniel Jones is such a mystery at this point.
One thing is interesting is the schedule in the NFC East this year for all the teams is a lot more manageable, let's say, than the schedule.
They're not playing the AFC. Well, they are playing the AFC West, I guess, but it's not as brutal as it was last year. I agree with you there.
Yeah, so they all have a much easier road to navigate with their non-conference schedules this year than they did last year. Jeff Kerr, CBS Sports. On that front, you got Richard Sherman, you got Steve Nelson, you've got some big names that are still just hanging around. Do we anticipate this week that some of these guys start finding homes, or do they wait it out?
I would bet Sherman signs soon, just because he's going to have his suitors. I think Sherman's just picking where he wants to go. Like, I know the 49ers are interested in him. I'd love to see him go back there. I think Seattle's going to entertain him coming back because they're going to do whatever they can to help Russell Wilson out. I think the Saints are going to be players for him. I think the Raiders are going to be players for him. Again, it's all about the cap space. I think Seattle's looking at, do we really want to improve our offense? Do we want to improve our defense? Do we want to trade for an offensive lineman? I think that's what the Seahawks are looking at right now. The 49ers, they can just add him, no problem. So I could see the 49ers bringing them back just because they are all in on trying to win a Super Bowl this year.
Yeah, keep in mind the Eagles need more than their current projection of the salary cap to sign their rookie class. It's something they need to do as well. They have none of their rookies signed at this point, so keep an eye on that. But we would anticipate, Jeff, that after that, there might be some room to go and get a bargain guy that's still available out there. And there's some interesting guys. I guess Steve Nelson is the one name that keeps coming up. Is there any other available players out there that you would say, hey, kick the tires, go after that guy?
I mean, really, Steve Nelson is the only one in my mind that's worth it. I mean, I would love Richard Sherman on this team, but he's just not a fit for this defense unless, I don't know Jonathan Gannon's what he's going to do that well. I guess he's going to play more zone. That could help bring in Richard Sherman here, but do you really want to bring in a 32-year-old corner when Steven Nelson's available? Again, these are the two that are just popping up in my mind. There aren't that many, receivers available or anything like that. They don't really need help on the offensive and defensive line. If this is a couple of weeks ago, and I would say, hey, look, Ryan Kerrigan's still on the board, but you're not getting him. KJ Wright, that would be a guy that I feel could fit them really well. I definitely wouldn't mind if they brought him in. I've heard through the grapevine that the Eagles would at least kick the tires on it. I don't know if they would actually sign him or not, but look, this is a guy you can get really cheap, and I think the Seahawks are going to be the favorites to get a KJ Wright, but KJ Wright would be the guy I think outside of Steven Nelson that probably the Eagles would be interested in. I just don't see him going after a quarterback. Running back, they already claimed Kerryon Johnson. I don't see them doing anything there. Receiver, there really isn't much. After a tight end, if they decide to move on from Zach Ertz, but again, there really isn't that many tight ends on the market either.
No, and they need one, though. If they get rid of Ertz, they're certainly going to need a guy because Goddard is really the only NFL tight end they have on the roster that has NFL experience.
I know a guy they can get that's still available, though. Richard Rodgers. He'd be a nice little.
Yeah, no. I was going to say he's still available, but other than Goddard, I don't think they have. I mean, they got Hakeem Butler that they brought back. They moved him to tight end last year, but he's not really a tight end.
Jason Crew's still on the team, I think. I think he's still there. I have to double check.
Yes, I think you're right. And they have an undrafted rookie free agent out of Nebraska that they have as well that would be in camp. But no, they're going to need to probably find a veteran guy in that spot.
This is why I would keep Zach Ertz, because who are you going to have to replace him right now? You didn't draft the tight end, so.
No, you're right. All right, Jeff Kerr, big day in the NFL. We'll see what ends up happening now. Post 4 o'clock was the time when all these contracts come in. So now the cap numbers are all changed around. The Eagles can do some stuff. Keep our eye on Zach Ertz. We'll do that tomorrow here on the Sports Bash Live on 97.3 ESPN. And Jeff Kerr, like all guests, appeared via the Boardwalk Honda hotline. All right, good breakdown, man.
Yeah, sounds great, Mike. Oh, by the way, the first thing I expect the Eagles to do, sign those draft picks. They just cleared up $4 million in cap space.